Joining me now to set the record straight on this and more is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. What a slow news day.
Pretty slow, but it's good to be with you, Tomi.
I also think it's interesting that beyond just Joe Biden and the Democrat Party and the mainstream media, we now have the NAACP issuing a travel advisory for people of color as well as LGBTQ plus individuals to beware when they come to Florida, because apparently it's a openly hostile place for those groups. Now, I don't want to assume your race or your gender, Congressman, but you gotta help out the ladies of the View as well as the NAACP, because I'm not sure that they have been to Florida lately, and if they have, I'm not sure that I'm not sure that they really took it all in to its fullest extent.
Listen, what the NAACP did here was a flat out joke. This is stupid. Florida has the third largest black population in the country, third largest. They're not looking to move out of our state because everybody knows that our state, frankly, is better than the other 49. And for my friends in Texas, yeah, sorry, we're better than you too. That's just a reality. That's number one. Number two, and much more importantly, what they're trying to do is play politics. They understand that black men in particular are starting to leave the Democrat Party and actually looking to vote more Republican. So they're throwing out this dog whistle. They're trying to gaslight black people in the country about Republican politics in Florida. Listen, in Florida, we left schools open so black kids could actually go and get educated. We didn't keep them shut out of the schools. In Florida, we allowed black business owners to continue to run their business. We didn't shut them down the way they were shut down in New York and California and Illinois. So if the NAACP is concerned about the plight of black people, they should be concerned in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in New York, and in Portland, Oregon, and some other cities as well. That's what they should be concerned about.
And the ladies of the View, you know, they've really had quite the week already. It's only Wednesday, but I think they've done themselves enough damage. But to them, it's probably an accolade. They've gone after Senator Scott, you know, essentially calling him an Uncle Tom, right? They've gone after really just any Republican premise, you name it. They've gone after it in the most disgusting way possible. I know that you've had your fair share of time to discuss the ladies of the View, but when the American people are watching these women and what they're saying, do you think that it is resonating, particularly when you have a white Joy Behar making comments about certain black Republicans not being black enough?
Look, I think, first of all, the ladies at The View, they're paid to spew nonsense. This is why they don't have people on who can challenge their worldview and actually debate them. And even in the one instance or two instances where you have a conservative on that show, all they do is talk over that person so they can't even get a point out. So they're paid to speak foolishness. Do I think that it resonates with the people? No, I really don't. It might resonate with people who just love to watch The View all day long. But I mean, how many people actually watch The View anyway? What, 1 million? If that, I don't think that they actually are really getting the bang for the buck that they think that they really are. People look at Joy Behar's comments and they're like, she's ridiculous. How is an old comic but who basically is going to educate me on what it is to be black in America? That's just dumb. So I'm not going to listen to her. And I don't think most people are listening to her or the ladies at The View for that matter.
Oh, we certainly hope so. That would be nice if people wouldn't listen to them. But unfortunately, I think that there's a lot of probably suburban women that are watching. So it's still an issue. That brings me to another discussion that's happening in our country. We've got so much going on, but we got the debt ceiling. Alas, we have to deal with that one. Can you tell me, insider perspective, how that's going, what we can expect in the coming days and even week?
Well, look, as of now, it doesn't look very good. There's no deal. I don't even think we're close to a deal, frankly. And this is indicative of something that Joe Biden continuously does. There is a crisis on his watch. He puts his head in the sand. He ignores it. He doesn't talk about it. And when it hits an apex, then he wants to show up and say that he's got the strategy. The reality is that he doesn't have any strategy. House Republicans, our position is clear. We want to cut spending and get back to pre-COVID levels so we can get the fiscal health of our nation back on track. That all makes sense. But let me tell you what the Democrats and Joe Biden want to protect. They want to protect these Green New Deal subsidies in the Inflation Reduction Act. For them, it's okay to have massive tax breaks for these green companies who are all owned and run by rich billionaires on the left side of our politics. They love tax cuts for their favorite interests. But if you say we want to give small business owners a tax cut, then the left says, oh, people aren't paying their fair share. These tax cuts are going to cost $1.2 trillion over a decade. $1.2 trillion. That's what it costs. But you think Joe Biden wants to get rid of those in order to be able to raise the debt ceiling? They're screaming bloody murder and saying no. And all this is about the Green New Deal. That's what it's all about. So House Republicans, we have a plan. And my message to the speaker and to the negotiation team is stand firm, because the polling is now coming out. 6 out of 10 Americans say that we should be cutting spending and if we're going to raise the debt ceiling. They are saying that. And if you look at issue after issue, Joe Biden is severely underwater in his polling numbers. So House Republicans have a prescription and a plan. The White House is still not serious. I mean, but surprise, surprise, are they ever serious? And so my biggest concern overall is that we could potentially go over the debt ceiling cliff, if you will.
Is that worth it, though, to go over the cliff? I know that this is something the Republicans have to confront every few years. It seems like, whether it's one issue or another, going over the cliff, not making a deadline. And every time it seems like something gets done. And I think a lot of the constituents are upset the Republicans seem to fold and they seem to cave every time. I mean, a few years back, it was not securing the border, not funding the border wall. Donald Trump had to pretty much go nuclear and do it on his own in the ways that he could get something done. But I wonder if Republicans have the intestinal fortitude to hold firm, or if maybe our messaging isn't getting out to the American people enough to allow us to do something like that.
Well, actually, I believe we are going to hold firm. I definitely think it's the right thing to do. And also, I think our messaging about that is starting to resonate in different parts of the country. What I understand is that you have a lot of business interests who are calling the White House, telling the White House that they need to hurry up and make a deal. I don't believe that us folding is in the best interest of the country, because under Joe Biden, we're going to hit anywhere from $51 to $54 trillion in debt in a decade, in 10 years. That's not sustainable. So we have to be strong in our position. And I truly believe that the American people are with us in this. And the last thing I'll tell you about the actual date of the debt ceiling, this is coming from Janet Yellen, the same Janet Yellen who was wrong on inflation, the same Janet Yellen who was wrong about interest rates in our country when she was then head of the Federal Reserve under Barack Obama. Janet Yellen has been wrong significantly more than she's been right. So if she's going to tell us the debt ceiling is on a certain date, what we are saying in Congress is she needs to show up and show us the math, show your work. Show us how you get to these dates and what your response is going to be after. Don't just tell me that it's about to rain outside and we got to come up with a plan. I want to know what her strategies are. I want to see what her homework looks like if she's going to tell us when the debt ceiling is at a specific date. What all that means is, simply speaking, is House Republicans need to stand firm. As long as we stand firm and we stay united, we can actually win the day and help to get our country back on track, even with Joe Biden in the White House.
And I think, completely unrelated, but also in some ways similar, I think that the way that conservatives, at least in the consumer public, stood strong against Bud Light and now are seemingly doing to Target and other woke corporations, it would be nice to see our Republican representatives like yourself and like others standing firm, because I think if we could all come together the way we came together and tanked Bud Light 30%, boy, we should be able to get a good deal for the American people, and we should be able to win an election in 2024. I'm just hoping that we can take this momentum and realize that we do have more power than sometimes we even believe, and march forward with whatever it's going to be, DeSantis or Donald Trump, Senator Scott. I don't really care. Any of them are better than what we currently have. Last thing I want to ask you is, heading into what's going to be a difficult primary season, what is your advice out there to your fellow conservatives, the voting public, who are very conflicted right now, not knowing who they should support, not knowing what they should do, not knowing if they should vote at all? What do you tell those people that are apprehensive?
The first thing I tell them is make sure you get out and vote. If you don't show up to the game, you forfeit. And the Democrats do not want you to show up to the game. So you got to go out and vote. You got to make your voice heard. Number two, and this one might be even more important than the first point, this primary process is going to come to an end. It looks like, looking at all polling, your nominee is either going to be Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis. But when this primary contest is done, we have to be one party. The Democrats do not care about who our nominee is. They just want to win. And what they're counting on is Republicans having this internal battle. We got to be one party, because if you look at the Democrat side of the aisle, they don't care who they put in. And if you don't believe me, I got two words for you. It's John Fetterman. They knew John Fetterman couldn't serve and do the job. They knew he had health issues, and they put him in office anyway, and they did not blink an eye. So Republicans, whether you're a moderate Republican, a MAGA Republican, a conservative Republican, Tea Party Republican, social conservative Republican, doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we got to come together, be one party, and go win back the White House, because we have a country to save.
We absolutely do. Thank you for all the work that you do and your leadership. We always enjoy your commentary, your hard work, and your steadfast resolve. Congressman, have a fantastic rest of your week, and have a wonderful primary season. We're going to need you out there with your voice.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Tomi.